I'm Larry Menti. This week on Jersey Matters. People are spending a lot more money this holiday season than they have in decades. We'll tell you what that means for the national economy and for New Jersey. One of the biggest planetariums in the world has opened in New Jersey, and it's all state-of-the-art. We'll give you a tour, and you may not know it, but this is one of the worst times of the year for back problems. We'll talk about the epidemic that doctors call Santa spine. And in just a few minutes, we are going to interview State Senator-elect Vin Gopal, who's one of the most talked about politicians in Trenton right now after upsetting longtime Senator Jennifer Beck. But first, a few words. Trenton has turned blue. The Democrats are firmly in control. They have the Senate, they have the Assembly, they have the governor's mansion. But that doesn't mean everything is going to go smoothly. Watch for a battle of the titans between Senate President Steve Sweeney, a Democrat, and the governor-elect Phil Murphy, also a Democrat. Steve Sweeney fired the first salvo when he said this on Jersey Matters a couple of weeks ago.
Just because we're all Democrats doesn't mean we're all going to, fall in line and do what the governor says. We're going to work with the governor. We're going to respect his office. But at the end of the day, we are the Senate. There's an Assembly, and we're co-equal branches, and you can't get anything done without all three working together.
So what's all this about? The New Jersey Teachers Union spent $5 million trying to defeat Sweeney in the past election because he wants them to contribute more to the pension fund. But Sweeney won by a landslide after having to spend a small fortune himself in the most expensive race in New Jersey legislative history. As you can imagine, Sweeney is more than just a little upset, not only with the Teachers Union, but with the newly elected governor, Phil Murphy, who sat on the sidelines during the fight between the New Jersey Teachers Union and Sweeney. Now, Murphy can't get much done without Sweeney, and since Murphy is far left and Sweeney is a moderate, this could get interesting. You know, there's this old adage, if you're going to try to take out the king, you better not miss. Now, here is our interview with newly elected State Senator Vin Gopal. You were the talk of the election. I mean, after Phil Murphy, everybody kind of knew that was going to happen, but you were a bit of a surprise in knocking off a long-term state senator in Monmouth County. How did you do it?
You know, we worked really hard. I personally knocked on over 6,000 doors. Together, we hit about 15,000 doors between our volunteers, my running mates, and we really built a coalition of Republicans, Democrats, and Independents. And I think it was telling in the election results. I ended up winning by about 4,200 votes, and Governor-elect Murphy won the district by about 1,800. So we outperformed by over 2,000 votes, and we really think we built a good coalition there. And now it's time to deliver for the people of Monmouth County.
Right, not to take anything away from you whatsoever, because I know you were the Democratic Party chair before, and you pulled out kind of a stunner before with the Assembly, but the timing was right, wasn't it? I mean, there was an anti-Republican, anti-Trump, anti-Christie feeling.
Sure, there was, and the other thing is Senator Beck had a lot of deep relationships. She was a really credible opponent. She was one of the Republican Party's rock stars for years, but she made some votes, and that's one thing I'm really proud of our race. We focus on the votes, and she voted a few times with Christie, which I think she now would obviously regret, but that really, in the minds of residents in the district, they didn't like to see that flip-flopping. Okay,
now you got the job. Now you actually have to do the job, yeah. and that could be daunting for some people that are getting into it. What do you want to focus on? Is there a specific issue that you really want to go after?
Yeah, consolidation and shared services. New Jersey has municipal madness. 565 towns, 600 school districts, hundreds of authorities and agencies. You will see me over the next couple of years really making this issue a core of what I think New Jersey needs to do to move forward. And I'll be doing town halls not just in my district, but all across the state, and making sure people understand that you can't have towns like Lock Harbor that have 194 residents and average property taxes are $25,000. We can't continue on that route, and that's really what I want to talk about.
So you mentioned property taxes. So when you talk about consolidation, that's not a sexy issue. Property taxes is. That's something people
It's all linked together. Yeah.
Explain that. Explain to me how, with the consolidation, would affect property
So
taxes.
I give you an
and bring it
example.
down.
If you have a school district that has a K-8, which we have a lot, and they have a superintendent, 2 or 3 assistant superintendents, a curriculum director, insurance broker, engineer, attorney, this all adds a lot of costs. It's not what other states have. We can keep the same quality of education without touching the teachers and the and the personnel, but really cutting some of the fat at the top. And we have school districts, for example, Lake Como has an elected school board. They have a superintendent consultant, and they have 0 schools in their district. So this is what we need to do. We need to look at these towns, these authorities, these agencies. Jersey City recently consolidated a bunch of authorities. Their parking authority and their police department saved over $5 million for taxpayers. We need to start looking at how we can cut and not seeing what we need to do to increase.
Are there enough of these smaller districts as you go around that if you consolidate them, it really can make a dent?
I think a huge difference. I'll give you another example that just happened in Hamilton Township in Mercer County. They consolidated their fire districts. They saved $600,000 just on the salaries of those fire district commissioners.
You'll get a little pushback, right? I mean, because there's people that are in their districts
Absolutely.
that like their districts, and they're going to say, I don't want to join that district.
And that's why the state has to come in. They got to lead. They got to be a partner. They got to maybe give some of the financial relief. They have to make it easier for some of these towns. Without a doubt, home rule has been a problem here in New Jersey for far too long. But we have 100 towns in the state that have populations of less than 2,000 people. That should not be towns. If we consolidate them and the state takes the leadership, we're talking about 6 or 7 towns in Monmouth County, we have the ability to save a lot of money for our taxpayers. And
when you say you're going to save a lot of money for the taxpayers, that's going to resonate. Can you promise that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because
so much times the government just keeps the money.
Yeah, well, we can't allow that. This was the #1 core message in my campaign, was municipal consolidation. I ran on a fiscally responsible message, and I think it's why we did so well, why we won by over 4,000 votes, because people were saying, we need to look at this. We can't have the days where we have, 10,000 different healthcare brokers and contracts in each different town. Everybody has their own waste management contract. We need to start consolidating. We need to start merging. We need to start doing cost savings, and that's what everybody does in their homes here. And New Jersey has the highest taxes in the country. People are moving out of the state each and every day. And if we don't start getting aggressive, we need to start talking about increasing taxes. We need to start saying, with this much government, how are we going to cut?
It's interesting. You're going in at an interesting time. You're going to have a brand new governor and a Democratic governor. I've been doing a lot of interviews over the last few weeks with people in the state that have been in politics for a long time who can't figure out, they'll tell me privately, I don't know who this guy is. I don't know who Phil Murphy is. I'm not sure what he's going to do. He's a political newcomer. Do you know him? Do you know what he's going to do?
I know him well. He's from Monmouth County. He has been extraordinarily receptive on every issue that I've talked to him about. I asked him to come down a couple weeks ago to Monmouth Racetrack. That racetrack is struggling, very close to here. He came down. He took the information. He saw everything. Every issue that I've spoken to him about, the area in Fort Monmouth, we have so many issues, economic development that we need to do. He has been more than receptive, and I give him, he had a big victory. He won by 14 points. He really did well, and I think the residents of New Jersey, especially on the social issues, which are also important, women's health care funding, pay equity, background checks on guns, he's there on all these issues. And I think I am very cautiously optimistic. And look, if there's areas that we disagree as Democratic state senators, then we're going to disagree, and that's what's healthy about government. That was the problem with the Christie administration, is that the Republican legislators were in lockstep even when he vetoed the legislation, so he wouldn't look bad in Iowa.
I want to talk about issue by issue in a moment, but I want to stay on that, what you were just talking about. There seems to be some divide in the Democratic Party. As Phil Murphy's coming into office, Steve Sweeney on this program said, just because we have a Democratic legislature, I hope that he doesn't believe there's going to be a rubber stamp. There's going to be some pushback on some of the things he wants to do, laying down on the table immediately that you're not getting everything you want. Is that because, do you believe, is that because Phil Murphy kind of stayed out of that race when the New Jersey teachers went after Steve Sweeney?
No, I don't think so. I think it's healthy for government, and I think it's why many Republicans around the state just lost their elections, because they were rubber stamps for Chris Christie. And that's not healthy for government. You can't have the head of your political party, the head of your state, really control 80 members in the legislature.
So you don't see a fight between the Senate president and the governor?
I think they've laid out many issues where they agree on, and there's many issues that they're going to disagree, and I think that's absolutely healthy in government. And not just unique to the Senate president. The Speaker, Craig Coughlin, I think there's going to be areas he disagrees with the Senate, he disagrees with the front office on, and I think this is how we're going to make government work.
No bad blood?
No, I don't think so. I don't understand why anyone would take anything personal in politics. Phil Murphy's trying to win his election, Steve Sweeney's trying to win his election.
It's funny, I was taught that all politics is personal.
And those people hopefully don't survive, because you can't make it personal. It's about advancing the causes of the taxpayers of the state, and you got to work with everybody. You got to work across the aisle when it's in the best interest of your region.
When we come back, I'd like to go issue to issue when we talk to newly elected Senator from Monmouth County, Vin Gopal, when Jersey Matters continues.